So, Romanus,
Hello, Davis.
we just got back from the movies. What did we see?
We saw Interstellar by Christopher Nolan,
Nice.
starring Matthew McConaughey.
You make it sound like you almost made it sound like a book. I like that.
Do you like that?
Yeah. By Christopher Nolan.
Oh well, I mean, hey, it was cinematic, even though I'm making it seem like it was a book.
That's almost an understatement, calling this movie cinematic.
I would say so.
It is very much. It's like the cinematic experience almost.
But wouldn't you say that about Christopher Nolan? He definitely focuses on making a great cinematic experience.
He's one of those few directors working today that really does value cinematics and the experience of going to the movies, sitting down and being fully immersed in some other world for yourself. Mm-hmm. And for anybody that doesn't know this, that's why he is my favorite filmmaker. And he has been since the day that I saw The Dark Knight in theaters on July 18th, 2008.
Yeah, he's gone on a great run. There are a few movies that I'm not really into as much as other people, including and especially you. Mm-hmm. But I will not deny that he has a great talent for making movies.
I don't think there's a single movie in his filmography that's like universally disliked. Mm-hmm. You know, I think there's a lot of movies that people do dislike in his filmography, but I don't think that everybody shares that same opinion.
Oh, sure. He's not making like a Gladiator 2 or I'm trying to think of another.
I was going to say that's a pretty easy one to do right now.
I mean, even Ridley Scott's made some duds.
That's the thing. I mean, Ridley Scott has a much more extensive filmography at this point because he's been doing this since like the 70s. But his lows are so low that he has movies in his catalog that are pretty universally hated. And I don't think Christopher Nolan has that.
No, even back to like Memento. Great movie.
Mm-hmm. I know that and The Dark Knight are two films that were inducted into the Library of Congress for historical preservation.
Damn. Mm-hmm. My favorite Nolan movie might be The Prestige.
That's a great choice.
I love it, man.
That is such a great choice.
It's just one of those movies that sticks with you every time. Great reveal at the end. Mm-hmm. Just wonderful characters, great performances.
Just the editing and the structure of that movie is just nobody can really top that.
Yeah,
it's very difficult, and it wasn't his first film, but it's kind of like his first feature-length film because his first movie, Following, which I believe has like Criterion Collection status, was like an hour and 10 minutes. So it's like just on the cusp of being feature-length, like considering feature length.
Right.
And then Memento came out in 2000, I believe, and that movie just blew up.
What I would say, maybe the biggest movie for him is probably Inception or The Dark Knight.
Probably.
Like one of those two.
Like in terms of like universal acclaim and the success and just impact that they've had. I mean, even I feel like he's been his own work since Inception has been the most impacted from that movie in terms of what he thinks he can, like what he can do as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody that is familiar with his catalog of films knows that he loves time dilation and just playing with non-linear storytelling. And he has pretty much done that in every movie of his with maybe like a couple exceptions. But my introductory film for him was Batman Begins in 2005.
Yeah, sure. Same for me.
You know, when I went to see that in theaters, I had to leave.
Why?
I was 9 years old and I got scared
of the Scarecrow.
Yes, that was pretty much the character that did it. I didn't realize how dark the movie was going to be, even though I was a pretty big Batman fan at the time. But we're coming right off of Tim Burton's Batman movies, which are dark, but not like very serious dark. It's a little campy. And then the Joel Schumacher movies.
Oh, right, yeah. I thought
you were
I'd skip those.
No, and then I'd seen the animated series and I'd read some comics, but I didn't realize that Batman could really be portrayed in such a grounded and gritty reality like Batman Begins. And so seeing Bruce Wayne's parents murdered and seeing the Scarecrow, I was like, this is for real.
Yeah.
Like, this is a real Batman movie. And I'm like, this is kind of frightening. Mom, get me the hell out of here.
Man, I think I've left one theater once when I was a kid. Maybe, do you remember Deep Blue Sea with Samuel Jackson?
Yep.
I had to run out of that theater, man. Those sharks scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. Also, I mean, I don't know when Deep Blue Sea came out, but I was a child. What were my parents thinking by taking us to see Deep Blue Sea?
I don't know. Maybe they thought it was just going to be like a fun shark movie.
A fun shark movie?
I don't know.
Like Jaws the musical.
Jaws the musical.
Yeah.
What if, right?
Hey, I'm sure it will have. We saw Wicked, so.
That's true. When I was a kid, I couldn't watch through Jaws all the way either. The scene where the guy gets like his leg bitten off and it just like floats to the bottom was the moment where I'm like, I'm done now. I can't believe I sat through the kid getting eaten by the shark, but like at that point, the leg was like too far, and I was like, I can't do that. It's a brutal movie for like a mid 70s or early 70s Spielberg film.
Man.
It's a great film. It's stood the test of time. Still considered like one of the greatest movies ever made by many people.
It's the first movie to make $100 million.
Is that true?
Yep.
I actually didn't know that. Yeah, like I think people do kind of pinpoint that as one of the original blockbusters in a lot of ways too.
Yep.
At least when in the modern era.
Yeah. Made $100 million.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Very crazy. So yeah, back to Nolan. The Dark Knight's definitely the film that really made me fall in love with him as a filmmaker. And I actually didn't end up seeing The Prestige until after Inception came out, but I loved it. Incredible film.
Yeah.
Prestige is a movie I saw, and then I saw again a couple years later, and then it fully hit me, and I was like, oh my God.
When did you first see Interstellar?
The day it came out, actually 10 years ago to the very day.
Wow. Whoa, this is special. And we just came from, really, we went to the theater, and then we got a few beers. Me, a few beers. You,
I had a couple apple martinis.
Shaken, not stirred.
Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah.
You're
Compliments to the bartender.
Compliments to the bartender. Because this is a very exhausting movie.
Yes.
I think it's Nolan's second longest after Oppenheimer. And it's his most emotionally driven, I would say. The one that like kind of hopes that the audience gets very emotionally invested in everything going on with the characters and the events happening on screen. And it's draining. It's a draining experience. And that's the way I felt 10 years ago when I saw it, when me and my brother saw it, and we went to an Applebee's. And I don't think we were old enough to drink at that point, but we just went and sat up at the bar.
You were not old enough.
No, we were not. I almost forgot how old I was.
Well, we're the same age. And this movie
Yeah.
came out when we were 18. It came out in 2014.
Yeah, 2014. We went to an Applebee's. We sat at the bar, and we just ordered a couple waters. And we're just like, we're good. We wanted some drinks. Yeah. But
I was crying during the movie.
I cried like 3 times during this film.
Same. And because we were sitting next to each other, I was like, I don't want to let this motherfucker see me crying.
See, I wasn't worried about that. I was worried about the guy next to me on the other side.
Oh, was he crying?
No. But I was just like, I don't know this guy, but I still don't want to be that guy. That's just like,
he was probably asleep.
See, after like one of the pivotal moments that makes everybody cry in the movie that we'll get to, I literally heard the whole audience sniffling. Yeah. Like everybody was feeling it. And that was the vibe for most of the movie. Like I was saying, it's just an emotionally draining film. Well, I guess we're getting into it. So, my name is Davis Leaf. This is the Loose Leaf Media Podcast. I'm here with my co-host,
Morgan Freeman.
Oh, that wasn't bad. And today we are here to talk about Christopher Nolan's Interstellar on the 10-year anniversary as it's been re-released in theaters. And we were fortunate enough to go and check it out at our local IMAX. And this was your first time seeing the movie.
Yeah, this 10 years ago was my first year in college, and I just had no time to go to the theater. And upon seeing this movie, I completely regret that. I made a huge mistake. You should just make time for things that'll make you happy. Don't bury yourself in work. It's not going to be a good life.
Yeah.
It's one of the best experiences that I've ever had in a theater. Thank you for taking me with you.
Thank you for going.
I don't think I would have gone otherwise.
I'm actually very happy that you say that because when I first saw this movie 10 years ago, I had the same opinion, and to this day I still have it. I've seen a lot of great event films in theaters with some pretty enthusiastic and enjoyable crowds, but the Interstellar theatrical experience is just otherworldly. And nothing.
Pun intended?
Yeah, pun intended.
Oh, boy.
100%. And it's just nothing comes close to a theatrical experience like this. It's immersive, it's gripping, it's very, very gut-wrenching. It twists your stomach a little bit, and it's a bittersweet movie a lot of the time, too. It's both wholesome and heartbreaking at the same time.
I'll read a quick description of the movie before
Please.
we continue. When Earth becomes uninhabitable in the future, a farmer and an ex-NASA pilot, Joseph Cooper, played by Matthew McConaughey, is tasked to pilot a spacecraft along with a team of researchers to find a new planet for humans.
His name's Joseph?
Joe Cooper.
Yeah. They never say his first name in the movie.
Just say Cooper.
They just say Cooper. Yeah, that's cool. I feel like when this movie came out, like when the cast list was billed, he was never specifically called Joseph Cooper. I don't even think that the ending credits of the movie actually call him Joseph. I think they just call him Cooper.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's not a detail that's like terribly.
No, I mean because people just say Coop. Hey, Coop.
Hey, Coop.
Coop.
Even the robots are calling him
I know. It's a good name. Cooper.
He
sounds like the guy in charge, the guy that knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Romanus, first-time viewer. What did you think of this movie?
Yeah, this movie hit perfectly on every note that you can ask for a movie, especially a blockbuster. Visually stunning. You're always emotionally invested in the characters. I'm completely sold on the family of Joseph Cooper. He has a daughter, Murph, and his son, and his father-in-law that he lives with all of them on this farm for corn, and that's the only thing that these people can grow. And just each step of the way, I am entranced by this movie. At first, emotionally, because you're sold on this desperate mission to find other habitable planets to save mankind. And once they're in space, this movie visually blew me away. Yeah. I can't name many movies that have that I can just say were just so beautiful. Man, there's just a ton of great scenes, and we'll talk specifically about a few, but a ton of scenes where my mouth was just, my jaw dropped, and I would even look. I think I looked at you in one specific scene. I'm like, yo, for real? Are you serious? And I have to give it another just credit to Nolan, which is overdue for me. Man, this, besides The Prestige, might be my favorite Nolan movie. Like it's 1A, 1B for me.
Mad respect for that.
This movie has so much to offer in every way. The music, the cinematography.
Oh, yeah. We could go all day about Hans Zimmer's score in this movie.
There's so much to go into. The only thing that I can say is just go see this movie if you haven't already seen it. I think this would have been spoiled for me if I saw it on a regular TV or even just a regular screen. Just the sound of the rockets, just the camera that's on the spaceship when it's flying. The special effects are just, I mean, come on.
Unbelievable. We're sitting here watching this movie, and it's been a few years since I've even rewatched it. And so it was really nice and fresh almost to see it in a theater setting again. And I'm watching it, and I'm just thinking, I honestly think this movie might have the best visual effects of the 21st century. It's really hard for me to think of something that just looks better than this movie visually. Like in terms of like its special effect.
Yeah.
Like nothing, like there's a lot of practicality to the sets and things like that Nolan employs. But the way he makes space look and feels like it has its own personality with its unpredictable nature.
Well, no, you hit the nail right on the head. There's a lot of scenes where you see the spaceship that the main characters are in, but it's so zoomed out, and so you see like from the scale, like, okay, this spaceship is a dot compared to even the rings of Saturn. Like we're not seeing Saturn all together. We're seeing just the rings in the background and a tiny little light blinking. Like, oh, that's the spaceship.
There's a lot. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, just like it's like there's many intentional moments when the audio cuts out because space is a vacuum, right? So like sound waves aren't
that's something I
traveling.
love so much. One of my favorite space movies of the last 10 years as well was Ridley Scott's The Martian,
Yeah.
which also might be my favorite Ridley Scott movie as well. But watching this movie, Nolan really knows how to express that vacuum feeling of space. There's so many shots when you see the Endurance spacecraft just traveling, but he never really often puts it center frame. He always wants space to be the center frame of a lot of those shots and not the spacecraft itself. And I think that was a really good and distinct choice for him to emphasize a lot of those points of the unpredictability and how formidable space really is. And then you get to the black hole sequences, and it's just visuals unlike anything you'll ever see. It really convinces you that you're looking at actual black holes.
That you're traveling through a black hole. That you're traveling through. You're seeing a wormhole. It's just go see this fucking movie.
Yeah, literally.
Come on, man.
Like we can easily talk all day about the technical elements of the visual effects in this movie.
Yeah.
But they are actually spectacular.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to take your eye off the screen. And even when it's like he shoots so many of these with IMAX, and when he was going into making this movie, he wasn't so certain which scenes he wanted to film in IMAX and which he wanted to just be the standard widescreen format. And this was the first film that he worked with Hoyt van Hoytema as cinematographer, who would go on to do the cinematography for all films preceding this. And this wasn't his first time working with IMAX, but he had new philosophies, and so a lot of the enclosed spaces of like the spacecraft are not shot in IMAX, but there's like brief moments where it is, because Hoyt van Hoytema was very convinced it's like, well, let's do more of this handheld. Yeah, the IMAX camera's loud as shit, and it's very heavy and difficult to get into very enclosed spaces because it's such a large camera. But it's like, let's just go handheld and not have it on like a trolley or a crane. And you get a lot of really intense and openness from even the internal spaces of the spacecraft just from those sequences. And then when you widen it out to all of these shots of space and the actions happening in it, it's just breathtaking. It's absolutely breathtaking. Every time they enter onto a new planet and you get to see like all the terrain of everything. I especially like when they go on Dr. Mann's planet and the spacecraft just hits the frozen cloud. And not only is it like an unexpected moment of just the nature of this planet and the physics of this planet, but it just does look kind of beautiful. It's like, okay, well, clearly we shouldn't live here as human beings, but it is pretty impressive to look at this because I've never seen something like this. And it does make you feel like you actually are you're entering a new world.
Yeah, there's even going back to that planet that you were referring to, there's a quote in the movie about how like nature be evil. Right.
I almost forgot about that conversation in the dialogue, but that was a great exchange between Brand and Cooper.
Well, Brand played by
Anne Hathaway.
Yes.
She's great in the movie.
She is fantastic.
Yeah, she's really good in this movie.
But they're having this conversation right before they touch down on any of these planets, and it's a great it just is a great allusion to the events that happen because you go to these planets and expecting at least one of them to be humanity's saving grace, and things occur. The first planet that they go to is just a planet with a lot of water. They land on water basically, and they think that the water is basically up to their knees where they land, and in the distance it looks like there's some mountains, and you look a little closer and you realize, no, that's a giant wave of water.
There's that moment where, like, the minute that Dr. Brand points it out,
Cooper.
Cooper points it out, because Brand thinks that they're mountains, and Cooper goes, "It's like those aren't mountains, they're waves."
Yeah,
that one's moving away from us, and then you just see his eye turn, like he side eyes, and then his body starts shifting behind him, and this is like the music, like Hans Zimmer's score is like building up, and it's got that like really cool like time ticking that's happening in the score that really indicates like they only have so much time that they can be spending on this planet. And then boom, he goes up back, sees the biggest wave that you can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
And whoo!
It's the height of multiple skyscrapers.
Yeah,
basically.
it's a Goliath.
Yeah.
And it's just the intensity in this movie. Once they leave Earth, it just never ever stops.
No, and it goes to show you that humanity's destiny is you are victim to nature, right? And there's a lot of moments in this movie where you just feel small, you feel powerless, even though they are traveling at the speed of light in this wormhole, or like, just doing space travel that is still not possible to this day.
So to me, something that I really was feeling the most while watching this movie this time was that the movie is about interstellar travel, and it's about the exploration of space and the limitless possibilities that exist out there. There's a great line in the beginning of the movie that Cooper says to Murph Cooper says to Murph, I think it's Murph that says it to Cooper.
What's the quote?
When she says, "Science is about admitting what we don't understand." I think that was Murph.
Cooper says it to Murph.
Cooper does say it to Murph, and then he tells her how she presents the scientific method to her.
Yes.
And
Murph says it to Cooper. I'm sorry.
Yeah. She does?
Yes,
okay,
she does.
yeah. But I love that quote, and I think
was wrong.
That really emphasizes a lot of the points of the movie in terms of our relationship with nature. And I think more than anything, even though this movie is about space exploration and interstellar travel, it's more of a love letter to Earth and humanity than it is to space. And we understand the non-cooperative components of space, but what we don't understand is our place as humans in this vast void of opportunity. And there's just this one moment when they're approaching the black hole that is so beautiful in its sound editing and its visuals that emphasizes this point for me. And it's the moment where Romley is sitting down talking to Cooper and how he's getting a little bit cabin fever about just being stuck in the spacecraft amongst a void of nothingness. And Cooper explains that story about, yachtsmen, and then he gives him the headphones of the sounds of the rainforest. And then we just get this massive wide shot of these sounds of like rainstorms and thunder while we are looking at the Endurance slowly floating past Saturn. And it is just one of the best moments in this movie for me that emphasizes our relationship with the unknown and our relationship with ourselves as humans, and just how much we love and value Earth because it is our home.
Yeah, because the quote that he says before is like, this spaceship is just a thin sheet of aluminum, and then outside of it, if we get outside of the spaceship, we will die in seconds. And the quote that Cooper makes about the yacht was like, man, most great yachtsmen can't even swim.
If they fall overboard, they're done.
They're done. But they're great because they're not falling overboard. And so this is our ship. And we just have to believe that we're going to make it to our destination.
Absolutely.
It just draws that, it goes back to nature, right? Where it's like, this is not, this voyage is not different than the voyage across the Atlantic, like, and it's a love letter for humanity, but it's also like our ability or our history of exploration and, going to always looking towards that next horizon, which is space now, right? That new frontier.
Yeah. I think this movie has held up in so many ways, more than I thought that it would have too.
For sure.
Number one, I mean, the conversation on the climate crisis and global warming has existed pretty prominently since the late 90s. But I think this was a really solid movie to treat that conversation as very natural and existing, because we are immediately dropped in a world where, some of the most unexpected corners of the world are now in a dust bowl. And everything, you can't grow anything anymore. People are dying from lung related issues. And it's just slowly becoming very naturally uninhabitable for human beings. And that conversation, I think, is surprisingly a little bit scarier now watching this movie in a lot of ways. But then there's those sequences with, all of these dust storms hitting them and everybody's just sitting there masking up and like protecting themselves from the nature that exists outside. And I'm watching this movie and I'm like, damn, this movie's aging so fucking well. It's crazy.
That should be scary because we cannot travel in space.
I know.
Saturn, so.
It's like that. I think that's a really good testament to a great filmmaker too. Somebody that can consistently make movies that age well with the times. And Nolan, I think, has proven himself having a knack for doing things like that. So, yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. Definitely the most emotional Nolan film.
Oh my God.
I know that he's received a lot of criticism from his films being a little bit emotionally devoid.
Like what?
I don't know.
Are people watching these movies?
I mean, they're all. I mean, he's known for his cinematics and giving people a very theatrical and intense experience. But I think a lot of people have felt that his films lack a capacity for people to connect to, like, things happening or characters. And to an extent, I kind of see where they're coming from. But I think that this movie especially puts that argument to shame.
Yeah, I think
because this movie is one of the most, not just the most emotional Nolan film, but just one of the most emotionally intense films I've ever seen.
It's the movie maybe, but again, besides the prestige, it's the movie that I probably resonated with the most emotionally. But I mean, are you looking for a Batman movie to be emotionally investing?
Yeah.
Dunkirk to me was great emotionally too.
Another just incredibly intense experience.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Dunkirk, yeah.
I remember when Dunkirk was coming out and I saw the runtime was like an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was very accustomed to very long runtimes for Nolan films specifically. And so I was like, God damn it. This is going to feel so like rushed, isn't it? And then I went into that movie and I'm like, thank God it was not a second longer because that movie was too much.
It was great. And it just kept getting worse until
I know. I was just like, come on, get out of there, guys.
Yeah,
get out of there.
Man.
I gotta get out of here because I can't take this anxiety much longer.
Well, that's how sort of Interstellar felt, where it's like, fuck, when is there going to be some relief? And maybe that's what the point of the movie is, right? Where, like, yeah, they're lost in space essentially, but
more like almost more spiritually than like physically in a lot of ways too.
Oh yeah, and that's probably true for any exploration, right? Where
because they're also theorists at the end of the day, so
yeah,
they're just continuously trying to improvise. I think Dr. Mann makes that point too, like when he's distinguishing human beings from robots. And saying that robots lack the capacity to improvise due to the lack of fear.
Oh, that fucking guy. Dr. Man.
Matt fucking Damon.
You know, when he made the appearance in the movie, I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know he was in this movie.
No, see, I was excited for you to see that because he was never billed. He's not billed on this movie's cast list at all. And when I went into this movie, I didn't know that either. And so when I saw it with other people and they saw Matt Damon appear, I was like, yeah.
And we're not going to spoil the movie, but his role does deliver.
His role is terrific and very unexpected. It's like his appearance is unexpected, but the role that he gives in the movie is also very unexpected. It's brief.
It is brief, but it's impactful.
It's one of the most important roles to have in this movie.
Yes. I will say, even before the stuff that goes on with this character happens, there are kernels of what's about to happen.
There really are.
And I felt nauseous. Like, I just, oh, fuck, what is going to happen? They're not in a position for any chaos. What is going on?
Exactly.
Let's go on.
Then fucking Dr. Man.
Oh, Dr. Man. Dr. Man.
We also
that sounds like a joke.
We also it probably is.
Yeah.
It's probably like some sort of double entendre that Nolan meant by that.
Yeah.
But he also doesn't have a first name in the movie either.
No.
He's just Dr. Man.
It feels like no one does except for
right.
Joe's daughter.
I mean, even Brand, her name gets dropped like once in the movie.
Maybe.
Like Amelia.
Yeah.
Amelia Brand. But yeah, it's good. It's a huge cast of a lot of people that just keep showing up, like Casey Affleck.
Casey, that was shocking too.
Fucking Timothy Chalamet.
He
plays young Tom, and I'm like, I remember seeing an interview. I almost forgot Timothy Chalamet was in this movie, but I remember hearing an interview after he kind of broke out with Call Me By Your Name, how he really thought this was going to be his breakout role because it was a Christopher Nolan movie. But I think directors, like favorite directors of mine, like Christopher Nolan or Quentin Tarantino, are also known for putting actors on long before they become popular or actually have their breakout role. And it's cool to look back at this movie and be like, Timothy Chalamet was in this movie? This is like 10 years ago. Has he even been famous for that long? Not really.
Who else was in this movie that Nolan really put on the map? Michael Caine.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Now, he's had a long career.
Well, he did, but
he's in the movie.
Of course.
And he actually plays a pretty big role in the movie, too.
I think Oppenheimer was the first movie since Batman Begins he was not in with Nolan.
Yeah, because he was in Tenet too.
Briefly. He's briefly in Dunkirk as the voice of the guy talking to Tom Hardy in the plane.
No kidding. Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Michael Caine in The Dark Knight Rises, when Alfred is talking to Thomas and Martha Wayne's graves, that moment makes me cry.
Yeah. It's a heartbreaking moment.
Yeah, and he made me cry in this movie too.
He's great. He's an incredible actor.
He is.
Yeah, great cast. Like we said, Anne Hathaway is fantastic in this movie. Maybe my favorite performance of hers. Even I think she's really good.
Even Matthew McConaughey. This
is my favorite performance from McConaughey. He is so exceptional, and this was his peak. I feel like in his career, he just won the Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club. He was in The Wolf of Wall Street around the time. He did Mud, and then he did this, and this was like kind of his like rebrand in a lot of ways for himself, but also like peak Matthew McConaughey career.
He is a brilliant NASA pilot, but he's also an everyman. You know, like he's a guy that you probably could talk to at a bar. He's
described as a well-educated engineer, pilot, but he's also a farmer. Yeah, that's what his day job basically is.
And he's never like he has a sense of humor, but he's not like a goof. You know, you can always take him seriously. So it's played really. He's
got a lot of dry humor. I love his relationship with Tars,
the robot.
Yeah, the robot Tars, voiced brilliantly by Bill Irwin, whose vocal performance is so incredible as that character. But just their dynamic is so fucking funny in this movie, and there's a lot of good levity that comes from their exchanges in this film. John Lithgow's in the movie too. He's Cooper's father-in-law.
Yeah.
He's good. He's got a good little role. Wes Bentley's in it.
There's a lot of people.
Topher Grace.
Topher
Grace
appears. What the hell? Topher Grace has made a few appearances in this podcast.
Hasn't he?
And Heretic.
Oh my God! Yeah, Topher Grace just kind of appears. He's kind of that guy that can still, from that '70s show, that can still get away with just appearing and stuff.
He's the only person from that '70s show that hasn't been canceled, besides the parents.
I was going to say.
The main cast,
most of the cast is pretty cooked right now.
Yeah, they're all either in jail or
fuck
in Twitter jail. Damn.
Ellen Bernstein plays Old Murph at the very end of the movie, which is a cool little cameo.
Another scene that sort of made me tear up.
Oh, yeah. It's hard. It hurt. The ending is just so bittersweet in this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, it hurts, but it's a really, really good ending. I love it. I'm sorry.
Well, I wanted to ask, what are some of your favorite, I know that we're not trying to spoil the movie, but what are some of your favorite visual moments in the movie?
Visual moments. Oh, so I have an answer for that, actually.
Yeah.
The first scene that we go through the wormhole. I think the visuals on that, there's a great wide shot that we get kind of see of the full scope of the void that they're entering through, but it's really the shot when they're exiting the wormhole, and you just kind of see space moving towards you, and then it comes to a very close standstill, and it's one of the most like nauseating effects I've actually ever seen in a movie. You're watching this on a theater, in a theater, and I really feel like I'm viewing this and I'm in this spacecraft in that moment, and I'm moving through this wormhole, and then right when it stops, I feel like I was actually in motion for a second there. I don't know how Nolan did this, but it looks incredible.
Yeah. This would be a trippy movie to have like in 3D.
It would, wouldn't it?
That'd be very.
Yeah, that'd be a lot.
It would be, but I'm curious. I would love to see it in 3D.
It wouldn't be. It wouldn't like. There's components of it that would definitely work. At least in enhancing kind of the depth of field a little bit. But I don't think. He shot this on film, and watching this movie again. It's been 10 years. I'm so accustomed to seeing most films now, especially look more digital. And I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, this does look like it was shot on film. It's grainier than you would expect from a large budget blockbuster like this, especially a space exploration one, but somehow it looks better still. I don't know. It's part of it is probably just like the Space Odyssey that this movie's very, very obviously inspired from, but it looks great. So how about you?
I do like the big wave. That was fantastic. I also...
That shot that just like pans up to the scale of the wave.
God, that was awesome. Not to spoil the ending too much, but there is a moment when Matthew McConaughey is in the Tesseract and it's collapsing, and you see it collapsing in the reflection of his space helmet, like glass. Just
great stuff. Great attention to detail there.
They knocked it out of the park with this movie.
So we kind of got to get into this, but I have a very specific question for you. You have a staunch background in physics.
Whoa.
To say the least.
Staunch background in physics. I'm not, I majored in physics in undergrad.
Staunch to me.
At the
I
University
majored
of
in
Missouri.
physics in never.
Oh, well, count your blessings.
I guess, but it's very important knowledge, I would say. And I would consider you, relative to myself, no pun intended, a little bit of an expert on this subject. That's not to say that anybody else out there should take you as an expert. I don't want to put you on a pedestal,
Right.
but I'm very, very curious because one of the biggest criticisms and the reason that this film has been on the more polarizing end for Nolan's catalog of films is its science and the way that it explains physics. And I'm very curious as to your opinion on if the movie kind of pulls off its science.
Yeah, their descriptions of like a black hole or a wormhole were great, right? Even just the images of the black hole that they had before you see, like, the characters actually see the black hole in space. That's eventually what the first images of a black hole looked like. The issue, I am not like a physicist that could tell you, okay, if this is what it would look like if you were in a black hole. I know the process of spaghettification. I know that's what would happen is when you approach the event horizon, the black hole has such a huge gravitational force that it begins to pull your atoms apart like spaghetti.
Yes.
But I mean, to be able to take the description from physicists and try to recreate it visually makes Christopher Nolan an incredible director. He killed it.
Yeah, his main consultant on this film was astrophysicist Kip Thorne.
Kip Thorne, man.
Who was also an executive producer for the film itself.
Yeah,
and
I met Kip Thorne at Caltech.
No kidding.
Summer. Yeah.
Interesting.
And he also won the Nobel Prize in physics for the discovery of gravitational waves.
See, that was when I was watching some of the special features on my Blu-ray of this in preparation to do this review, and the entire film is inspired by the theories of, or Kip Thorne's theories of astrophysics, gravitational waves, and the warping of space-time.
Yeah, I mean,
it's quantum mechanics mumbo jumbo, but
I mean, if you're gonna get anyone on this planet to help you make this movie, it's gonna be Kip Thorne.
He seems to really enjoy being a consultant on films relating to these subjects.
Well, yeah, because he also did it for Oppenheimer. No,
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense to me. Yeah,
he was a consultant on Oppenheimer.
That's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, no, he's had a fantastic career. Even just, I remember when they reported the discovery of gravitational waves, using basically this giant laser system where when a black hole is formed, it creates fluctuations in gravity that we measure light years away.
Yeah.
But the laser has to be super sensitive, right? Like if the laser shifts a little by like a train 2 miles away, then you're not going to be able to detect gravitational waves, right? So you have to have just an incredible marvel in engineering to stabilize these lasers to the point where the only thing that it'll sense is this black hole forming. Yeah, I did, but again, I am not like a super physicist,
Sure.
right? Like my background is in optics, so like I am not able to say that's what a wormhole would look like or not look like.
Sure.
But they're just like their understanding of relativity, great.
Yeah.
Right, like that stuff is easier to get. But
See, I think at the end of the day, what's nice about the film is it makes it understandable for me.
yeah,
Like if I'm watching and paying attention, everything's happening. I get what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
Like especially in just like a theoretical component.
and the like stuff like there is quite a bit of scientific jargon, but it's enough to where you believe that these physicists are physicists, these scientists are scientists, but it's not gonna like hit you over the head with anything. You don't feel bored. Like the event horizon is just the point of no return for a black hole. That's it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And once you meet the event horizon, you're done. But before then, you'll be fine.
Word.
Yeah.
Well, maybe one day we'll find out.
I hope not.
Yeah, I don't want to be the. I don't want to be the freaking lab rat for that.
No, yeah. Because I doubt that it'll end well.
I would too. You know, theoretics. I think what's great about this movie too is it still has a lot of Nolanisms to it.
Oh yeah.
Even the bad ones, a lot of people would describe. But for me, Tenet was such a paradigm shift for me in the way that I go into viewing Nolan movies. In terms of, I'm sorry to say this, but the whole movie's philosophy is like, don't try and spend time understanding what you're watching. Just feel and enjoy it. And I think that's the half of the time. I think that's what Nolan is trying to emphasize with the movies he makes, is giving somebody a rich, visceral, cinematic experience. And when I talk about Nolanisms, dialogue in this movie is really good, but it's very expository. Like most of his films' dialogue, it's just characters talking about things that the audience need to know to understand what's going on. And also, I really would like to get into a little bit more about Hans Zimmer's score, because it's one of not just the greatest scores in a Nolan movie, but I think it's one of the greatest film scores of all time. It's loud, it's in your face, but it's memorable and it's beautiful. It's intense, but it's very somber at the same time.
Yeah.
And the movie does that Nolan thing where the score at times is a little bit more overpowering than some of the dialogue being spoken. And Tenet was the movie that helped me be like, you know what? Despite maybe it being a little bit of an error in the sound mixing room, I don't care. I really don't care anymore, because at the end of the day, the dialogue is probably some brief moment of exposition. I'm just here to enjoy the visual and sonic experience of everything happening. And the score is incredible in this movie.
Okay, so I will say that the loud score in Interstellar didn't bother me, because there's so many great moments where it shifts from, okay, yeah, this is music that we're supposed to enjoy in the spirit of the scene, and then there are moments where like, oh, this reminds us of they're in space. So like the moment where they're playing the jungle or tropical white noise, and
or even when there's an emission of sound, what's something like right when they take off into space, and you know the music is loud, we hear the rockets, the propulsion of the jets, and then quick cut to the spaceship just floating. They're kind of finding their footing out there in space, and we just get this like, the camera's like attached to the spacecraft on the inside, and we're just kind of floating around, but it's silent. Completely silent.
The score did not bother me in this movie, but I will die on the hill saying that Tenet fucking sucked, and a part of it sucking is the score just being too loud. I couldn't hear shit. And okay, if you make whatever movie you want, but to say that it's not important for me to understand the movie, that's just not for me.
Sure.
Like, I need to be able to walk away with something. Or maybe I should just go back and watch Rush Hour, or go back and watch any other dumbass movie, right? Like I mean, if the plot doesn't matter, then why can't I just watch a 90-minute movie that's just more fun and more entertaining than your 3-hour movie that is gonna be sad and boring, or like whatever, Mark David Washington, is that his name?
John David Washington.
I almost said Mark David Chapman, I think.
Weird.
Who is Mark David Chapman again?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look this up real quick. Oh my God, he murdered John Lennon. That's the Mark David Chapman is the murderer of John Lennon. Right.
Close.
Yeah. Oh.
You got there. You got there though.
John Jacob Jimmerheimer Schmidt. His name is mine.
Jimmerheimer what?
I have no idea. I'm forgetting every name. No, but like I can't. My main issue with some Nolan movies is that he focuses maybe too much on spectacle, and
no, see, I get that criticism.
Yeah,
like when it comes out of service for the actual plot that's going on, I completely understand why a lot of people have that opinion. I get it. I see the vision even when it's like not supposed to be there all the time. I still enjoy myself, but I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, Tenet is definitely his most polarizing film for that reason.
Yeah,
But I think it's going to have the same kind of revisionism in the next 10 years, like Interstellar did, because I'm not kidding, dude. You weren't there. When Interstellar came out, people had the exact same opinions about that movie than they did about Tenet when it came out. Granted, the difference is you saw Tenet.
I did. I mean, to give it even more sympathy, I had to see it on my TV because this was during COVID. Right, so maybe.
Oh, so yeah, you didn't get it in the theater.
Yeah, maybe if I saw it in the theater, it would have been better. But to be honest, I'm gonna just go ahead and say, maybe, hopefully, we're still doing this podcast in 10 years, and I can be proven wrong.
That'd be cool.
I want to be proven wrong. I want to watch a good movie, but
I actually think that if we were to go and see Tenet in a theater, you'd probably enjoy it more at the very least.
Okay, but see how for Interstellar, I know exactly what's happening. Earth is shit. We need to find a new planet. Boom, I'm sold. It doesn't even matter. Like the science in the end of Interstellar becomes like magic almost. It's like now we're in this.
It's pretty much every science fiction Nolan movie.
Yeah, this is just like there was a lot of
none of this is actually happening.
No, for sure. No, I understand that there weren't real dinosaurs in Jurassic Park.
What?
Oh, shut up.
What?
I'm just saying, like...
No, stop talking right now. There wasn't.
I hate Davis. For those listening.
You ever heard, like, what the replication of what the actual T-Rex sounds like?
No.
Look it up at some point. It's one of the most disturbing sounds you could possibly hear.
Oh, God.
Like, look it up, and imagine you're sitting in the deep jungle, and you just hear this sound approaching you. It's scarier than, like, the actual roar.
Okay.
Sorry, a little bit of a sidebar.
I don't even know where I was going with that. No. So, everything in Interstellar I am following, even at the end where now it is just basically magic. There is no more physics. But in Tenet, I legit was like, what the fuck is going on? How are they moving backwards in time? Like, they just said, oh, entropy. Next scene.
See, that's the thing. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
But I'm just sitting here like, well, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but it looks awesome.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even, in Interstellar.
The special effects look fucking great in that movie still.
Even, sure. But again, it is special effects with just no... There's no narrative reason for me to care because I have no idea.
Preventing World War III.
No, sure, but I'm saying that the mechanism of which they're fighting over, I don't get.
See, that's something that's so funny that you mentioned. No matter how many times I watch Tenet, I still don't understand the algorithm. Like, it's all those different metal pieces that are like scattered all over the place. I still don't fully get that in that movie.
Well, like...
if somebody... I'm a MacGuffin.
A MacGuffin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, at least a MacGuffin is like, okay, we need to get this one thing.
You know what the MacGuffin is?
What's the
MacGuffin?
MacGuffin?
Rabbit's foot in Mission Impossible 3.
Oh God, well,
that is like the MacGuffin to me.
What? Because we don't know what the fuck it does.
We never did.
No,
we just saw the trailer for Final Reckoning.
Yeah.
in front of Interstellar.
So,
looks like the rabbit foot was in that trailer.
By the way, Davis, when the trailer for the new Mission Impossible movie came on, he was like, "Fuck yeah." Just under his breath, I looked at him, I was like, "You motherfucker!"
What? I love Mission Impossible.
The last one was
and so do you.
I like some of them, and
I don't think there's like even the worst ones aren't even that bad.
No, they're not.
Movies.
The second one is the worst one, and
I agree.
It's not that bad.
I agree, but it's still a fun action movie.
But I'm just like, your excitement over it was just like, what?
Yeah, but your excitement's dismantled because you didn't love the last one, but like the last 3 before that were all great.
Tom Cruise should just jump off of a building already.
No, he should.
It's
I agree.
You can just go ahead, man. We don't have to watch you do it. By the way, like
he sits there in theaters and he's just like, I could put a gun in my mouth and kill myself. Why should I be impressed by what he's doing? I could do that easier.
You know what? Now I'm becoming an adult, and I realized because when I was watching that trailer and he's hanging upside down off of a flying biplane. And of course, you know that's Tom Cruise doing that stunt, but just like attached to a wire. But it's still very dangerous. And if I was a kid, I saw that, I'd be like, I'm going to see that movie. Yep. There's nothing more important on my schedule. I will miss my own funeral to go to see that movie. But as an adult, as a 29-year-old man, I say any person with children should not be doing stuff like this.
Wow, that is a very adult way to think of it.
It just, my mind really went to like, where the fuck are your kids?
They're your kids?
No, but I'm saying empathy.
I'm just kidding. Entropy.
You know that's exactly how it went intended. He's like empathy. Okay. That is the power intended. You use your empathy to control entropy.
Sweet. Mm-hmm. I've tried that before.
Did it work?
No. I still can't control. I still can't move backwards in time.
It's that second law of thermodynamics, baby.
If you say so. I believe it. I don't know nothing about that though.
I wish I was Christopher Nolan.
I wish I
No, I think like I've never talked to a physicist about Interstellar. I've talked to a physicist about Oppenheimer.
You should talk to a physicist about Interstellar because they have a lot to say about this movie.
Okay, maybe I'll watch it. I know that Neil deGrasse Tyson has like
he hates this. He's torn this movie apart.
He hates it?
He does not like this movie. He doesn't like the science behind any of it.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure that's actually on the Wikipedia page.
I definitely don't know more than Neil deGrasse Tyson, but
yeah, but he doesn't know as much as he thinks he does.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything to that.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna challenge Neil deGrasse Tyson on anything, but I just think he's a little pretentious.
Well, scientists for sure can be pretentious, especially when it comes to sci-fi. And at the end of the day, these movies are made to entertain. Mm-hmm. So this movie was entertaining. There are movies where, as a scientist, like the Fast and Furious movies, just completely I hate them because they're physically annoying movies.
They are.
They really and so are. Like Interstellar is like, okay, this is a smart movie. My suspension of disbelief, it works throughout the movie.
It can exist.
It can exist. Mm-hmm. Even when you get to the crazy space magic stuff, I'm thinking, okay, like this movie has done enough for me emotionally and visually. I'm gonna just still.
It's like at the very least, it's a payoff,
yes.
And it's being fully transparent about that payoff.
Vin Diesel has died 20 times in Fast and Furious 7.
That was the movie in the series where I was the one that like most people I was the most excited to see, mm-hmm. And that was the movie where I'm like, I hate this series.
Is that the one where he sees his girl like falling like out of a highway and then he basically crashes his car, launches himself out of the windshield of his car, collects her in the midair, and then he falls into another car's windshield.
Yeah, when he catches Michelle Rodriguez over the bridge. I think that's the one before it.
Fast 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
The one with the endless like runway with the plane.
I was watching that movie with the girl. And I legit got up and turned the movie off and was like, we're just going to sit
We're done
here.
with this
We're
now.
I'm leaving. Fuck this movie. So, like, just that movie.
Not a good series.
But also, like, again, if people enjoy that, they want to see it. Fine.
Well, they do. All of them still make like $1 billion.
Just that's why this world's ending. You know what?
Yeah, this is why the Dust Bowl is on its way.
Exactly. Because
fucking Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. I think they're making another Fast Furious movie.
Of course they are.
Yeah, that franchise is never gonna end.
I don't think so. At least I don't know. Whatever. Back to Interstellar.
Yeah.
This is a great movie. I really like this movie.
Right.
The science is
I
solid.
like movie.
Like as a movie good. Movie good.
Me likey movie.
Please see.
I like a movie.
Go now.
I want movie.
Allah. Okay. Maybe we should wrap this one up.
Yeah, because we've had a few.
We have I had a couple apple teenies. You had a couple. Right yeah. Did we mention this earlier?
Yes, we did.
Oh, well. See, we're going in circles now. Maybe we're communicating with ourself. Very nice. Very nice. But yeah, great movie. Hans Zimmer's score is great. Cinematography is great. Lee Smith's editing is great. The whole cast is great. Okay, so top 3 Nolan movies. Go.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Damn. Inception.
Nice.
Interstellar. Nice. Prestige.
Nice.
How about you?
Dark Knight.
Okay.
Oppenheimer. And probably Inception.
Yeah.
Then this one's close. This one almost makes the top 3 for sure.
I think any combination that doesn't include Tenet, I could understand. Maybe not the Dark Knight Rises.
I definitely like Tenet more than that one. I love I really like the Dark Knight Rises. I think it's a great movie. I think it's a great, finale to that trilogy. But still like Tenet a little bit more than that one. But
I'm sorry to hear that.
See, the thing is, if I were to rank all of the Nolan movies, I would put Tenet near the bottom, but I would even put, this is going to be a hot take, I would even put Tenet above Dunkirk for myself.
You told me that. I disagree, but like it's definitely not a Nolan movie that a lot of people talk about, right?
No.
So
it wasn't like Inception or Oppenheimer. Dunkirk was an Oscar darling when it came out. It did very well with the accolades. But just to me, it's such a great movie, but it's not, because it's so real and visceral and an actual story, based on a real story. It's kind of like a historical fiction almost. It's not easily rewatchable for me. That's one that I don't really revisit from his filmography nearly as much. But still great. His movies are kind of a little bit hard to rank in a lot of ways because he has so many bangers.
They're hard to hear too.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Theater was loud. I think the guy in front of us kept covering his ears.
Yes. Yeah. That guy, he kept getting out.
He got up
like
3 times.
We kept looking at you like, what the fuck is going on?
Remember when those two, the tallest guy in the world sat right in front of you? And then him and his girl that he was with, they sit down and then she gets up immediately as the movie's starting and leaves again. And I'm like, the fuck? We were so close to nobody being right there.
we almost had a perfect experience.
They were fine during the movie, but they just took a minute to settle in, and that older gentleman that was also in front of you just covered his ears every time the music got loud, which it was a loud fucking score.
Sure,
but that's what you're here for.
You know what other annoying thing that he did that maybe.
Oh boy.
I guess he was drinking from a beer bottle or some kind of bottle, and he had his hand raised above his head. The bottle was above his head, and it was blocking the lower right corner of the screen.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and it pissed me off.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, it obstructed my view.
That's annoying.
Even though it's a huge screen and I could see most of everything, but it's like, why can't you just have the drink in the fucking cup holder?
That guy left at the best moment of the movie, the docking sequence, which is the most intense sequence of the whole movie. Yeah. Oh my goodness, it was such a privilege to rewatch that scene in theaters.
Perhaps he has already seen the movie.
Perhaps, but I'm like, why would you leave at that part? Everybody that's seen this movie knows that that's one of the best parts of this movie.
Well,
he leaves right before the whole Dr. Mann arc ends, and then the docking sequence happens, and I'm like, bro, you're leaving at one of the best parts of the movie.
I mean, we're not at that age. Maybe his bladder was off the charts.
Maybe. He stayed out of the theater for like 15 minutes.
Maybe he saw the scene with the water world and was like, I gotta go.
He's like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I gotta air out my I gotta vent out the water.
I gotta wave for you here.
No.
Let's wrap it up now. That's it. That was it. Go see Interstellar if you haven't.
Please.
Give yourself the opportunity to see it in theaters this next week. I'm gonna try and release this pretty soon, but it's playing in theaters right now. Check it out if you can. Otherwise, check it out at home even. It's just worth watching. It's an incredible film, an incredible experience, visually breathtaking, great acting. Yeah. We recommend it hugely. Yes. This was fun. Talking about a Nolan movie for the first time.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for that day. I didn't go as hard into this as I thought I would, though. But he's assembling his cast for his next movie as we speak, so...
Oh, yeah. I think... who's going to be in there?
It's got Tom Holland so far, Zendaya, Robert Pattinson, Matt Damon, of course. Yeah. Anne Hathaway's coming back for this one.
I can't wait to not hear anything they
say. I know, right? It's going to be a great time.
What you have to understand about Christopher Nolan.
Keep talking. This is the effect.
So my name is Romanus, and I hate Christopher Nolan movies.
This is Romanus, and he hates Christopher Nolan movies.
I'm Morgan Freeman.
Well, oh yeah, he was in the Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah.
Yes, I was.
I actually didn't make that connection until now.
What you have to understand about the Batman is he's really fucked up.
I wish you said that.
He's really fucked up.
We're wrapping this up. Thank you, everybody, for coming to another retrospective. Christopher Nolan 10-year anniversary retrospective. We're getting to the end of the year here. I'm excited for us to kind of do a little bit of a analysis on like how we got this started and revisit the entire year of film and talk about our favorite ones this year. Otherwise, stay tuned as always. We're probably going to cover at least one more newer movie from this year, and that'll be out pretty soon, but you're leaving town for the holidays soon.
Going to España, baby.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about that trip on the first episode we do when you come back.
Sure.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. But from the both of us here, my name is Davis Leaf. This is the Loose Leaf Media Podcast. I did this with my co-host,
Morgan Freeman.
And we will see you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Take care.